Hello and welcome into a very special episode of MFL with Laird. I am Andrew Laird, joined today by everyone's favorite football management creator, Matt, CEO of MFL. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Laird. Super happy to be here and to have this chat about MFL.
You, just like a minute ago, we were talking about the Paris meetup, which I was unable to go to, and I, to this moment, still feel such FOMO and regret that I was unable to make it. It sounded like it was a great time.
Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, with the community, it was so good to meet everyone. I think we were around like 40, 50 people, something like that in total. So that was great. That was so good to see so many people being able to join. Some of them coming from very, very far actually. We had Luca that was coming from New Zealand, Lucas from the community. So of course he's from the MFL team. Actually, we got one guy that almost came from New Zealand. He was super motivated, but last minute couldn't join. But yeah, otherwise we had people from Poland, UK, Holland. So that was great. And actually, what makes it a bit harder was that there was some. It's France, so there was some strikes. We are famous for that, so we didn't. It was the perfect example of France, unfortunately. And there was some strikes for like the air control guys or something like that. So a lot of users had their flight delayed or cancelled, and but that was amazing to see some that still managed to come. Like they managed to take the Eurostar last minute, or there was one guy from the Zoetert actually from Netherlands that come by driving, so he had probably 8 hours or I don't know how many hours of driving. So yeah, that was amazing to see all of them. And the location, we organized it in the Parc des Princes, the PSG stadium. It was amazing. Just after them winning the European, like the Champions League, so that was just so good to be in the stadium, and we were able to watch the match because they were playing in the World Cup. In the Club World Cup. So yeah, great event with great people and a lot of fun.
So I'll ask that question, my next question in a quick second. I just want to welcome everyone in. Looks like Dom Click, Cole, and Big Mr. K14. I think these are going to be usernames that you probably are quite familiar with, but congratulations to you three on the podium. JPS, Jimbo canceled his meeting at work just to be here, which I appreciate. Dobbsy, when UK meetup. Don't worry. We'll talk about additional meetups in a little bit. But Matt, obviously this is like a huge week for you guys. Yesterday was like the only way I can describe it is just like a dramatic announcement of everything that you guys have been working on for, I assume, since the platform started. I do want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about kind of what comes next, which I think is really unfair to you guys that you don't get to take a breath after all of this and everybody's like, oh, what's next? But you kind of mentioned to me that you'd love to go into a little bit how MFL started. And I love stories like that. And so part of the question was basically like, was there any point when you guys came up with the concept of this game and started to build it that you would end up having a meetup like you had 2 weeks ago of users from all over the world who play your game, and some that will travel thousands of miles to connect with you and with other people who play the game?
No, it wasn't in the plan, to be honest. It was maybe in our dreams or something like that. But yeah, it was. I think it was even beyond our dreams, basically, because it's when you start, especially like the way we like to proceed, we don't do like big plans and have roadmaps or like plans for years, etc. Of course, we have a vision and what we want to do and where we want to go. But we like to iterate and work on the product, on the community side, etc., to really build like that. And so no, we didn't have a big plan like that. And being able to do that was, to be honest, even like 6 months ago, that was probably something that we couldn't have imagined. And now with the traction that we have, the new users, the growth, etc., we've been able to set up this amazing meeting. So that was cool.
You guys obviously have been planning for growth for a while. You build any product or hoping that it does grow. And obviously we saw pretty significant growth over the last few months, but is this about where you guys thought you would be, this far down the road? Or not? I say this far, it's not that far, but are you guys kind of on the trajectory that you thought you would be, or is it kind of like moving faster than you thought it would?
But if we look at I think it's moving faster to compare to what we were expecting, especially if we look at the year 2024, 2023, that were like a bit harder for us, I would say, in terms of growth. There was less traction. It was also obviously due to the product. That sounds obvious when you say it like that, but when you have a product that is really running, that is working, when you have a game that you can really play with, and actually this like before we were in beta and we went out of beta in November, so it's still pretty young, I would say. And that's really when we started to see the growth. And yeah, as I said, that sounds obvious because when you really launch the game, then you have more users, etc. But that's really something that we realized, and that so I think that's why it's a bit above our expectation if we see about the trajectory we had in 2023, 2024, and now with the launch of the real game, it's really good traction, and that's amazing to see that.
So the biggest visual change, and obviously there have been a lot of them on the site, but I think the photorealistic players kind of takes this, as you said in the video, into a new era of MFL. Was that kind of in the original plan that you guys were going to do that, and that you started kind of with I don't know what you guys call them internally, but I feel like people have called them cartoons or drawings or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But was there a plan at some point to do photorealistic early on, and this is kind of where you think this is the next step for it to become just kind of a more popular and attractive game?
But I think when we started the project in 2021, late 2021, creating photorealistic player was not even a possibility technically. So
Okay.
So at that time, it was not really something we envisioned. I think there was probably some AI or like some website where you could generate faces of people, etc. But on our side, when we want to do things, we want them to be super qualitative. We wanted them to really look like footballers. We wanted them to wear kits, football kits, etc. And if you want really this level of customization, they have the badge, MFL badge on their kits, etc. So if you want this level of detail and this level of quality for the image, it was really not possible at that time. So that's why we decided to go for with another solution. We worked with Carl Thayer, that is a very good designer, and that created these amazing players that really were awesome for these 3 years, and we really loved them, etc. But we really thought that it was having realistic players would create like more immersion, would really create a people will really understand that it's more than a game, and then kind of like a virtual parallel world. Because when you arrive on MFL now, when there will be these photorealistic players, you could imagine that you are on on another website, and that it's real people. So that creates a level of immersion that's really we wanted, and so that's really something that we started to have in our mind. I think probably late I would say late 2023. That's when we started to have to work on that. At first, we hired somebody like an intern to really start working on the project, to try different stuff, etc. And that's when we announced it. We kind of announced it as the secret project we were working on in the dev update, etc. So everybody was speculating on the secret project. I think it lasted for probably more than 1 year or something like that. And then on probably early 2025. That's where we really started to say, okay, we want to launch it this year. We want to do it. And so we really we used what have been previously done as a launch pads kind of, and we really took over with Guillaume that we recruited in March. Luca also spent a lot of time on that, and we really built this entire pipeline to be able to create these players.
I think we're all really excited to see kind of all the photorealistic players coming out of our packs, certainly this week. And I want to go back to something you said earlier, that you were like, we don't necessarily, not that you don't plan long-term, but you were like, you don't have a roadmap and whatnot. But I remember when I joined, or actually it was before I joined, when I read the white paper, and it was kind of like, I always had like, maybe if one day they'll do this. And it felt like the next sentence was like, we're considering this in the future. And I feel like you guys have put in like a significant amount of thought into what happens as MFL continues to evolve. I'm not going to ask you what's next yet, but I do want to go back to basically how it started, because I know that there are other Web3 platforms that start as somebody's like, oh, let's do something on the blockchain, and they kind of create a problem that gets solved with whatever they come up with. And I'm curious where the idea for MFL came from. Was it just playing other games and saying we can do this better, or was it kind of trying to solve a problem with other games, or how did we get here?
But I think first it was like due to our background with myself and Yann, that is my partner on MFL, and he's also the CTO of the company. First, we know each other for a while. We started our first company together in 2017, 2018, I think. And we were already in the sports landscape. We were basically creating an analytic tool for daily fantasy sports, so focusing on football and focusing on mostly NBA. And so we were already in the tech sports industry, I would say. And after that, for me, I worked at Unibet, where I was the head of product and trading. So we were really like passionate about sports and tech, and so that's really something that we liked. And when we decided to, like, we've always been wanted to recreate something together, and so we were chatting a lot about different ideas, about different projects that we could do. And that's when I think in 2020, that's when I started to really hear about Web3. For me, of course, I heard a lot about blockchain, bitcoins before when I was in the US, for example, etc. But I think 2020 was really when I started to hear about what NFT are, what is Web3, and I really liked it. Actually, the idea of being able to own something digitally for me was a game changer, because it's something that, like, ownership in the real world is something very basic that everybody has. You have ownership of a lot of things, but on the virtual side, it was not possible before blockchains, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's really something that strikes me and say, I think there are some new opportunities, new experience that can be brought with this technology. And so that's when we started to be around like this space. Like I got really deep dive a lot into NBA Top Shot. I started to get a lot of attention about Sorare, etc. So I try to understand a bit more this technology and the experience it can provide. And we, like, especially Yann is used to be a huge football manager user when he was younger, etc. So, and we started like brainstorming, and that's where we really came up with this idea of basically a virtual parallel world, football world, where anybody can live their dream. And we think it's the dream of owning a team, being an agent, being a coach, etc. is the dream of a lot of football fans, but it's almost impossible in real life. And so that's where the idea comes from. Like, why not create a virtual world and using it, like using the blockchain to create, like, to have the ownership of the assets, etc., which allows to create an economy in the end. So that's basically how it started, I would say.
I remember one of the things you told me probably the first time we spoke, when I was saying how I couldn't grasp, or at least the way that I was thinking of it, the playing a football management game with players that as I probably bluntly called them, fake players. And you said something to the effect of, don't consider them fake players just in some sort of parallel or separate metaverse.
Yeah, that's exactly that. For us, they are not fake players; they are real players in the metaverse. Something like that.
As soon as you said that, it took me probably an entire day of thinking of this, because it was just like, oh, okay. And that perspective completely changed the way I thought of it, even though I don't think it's drastically different than what I was thinking, but it's just like these are a complementary, basically, universe of footballers who are playing. And that sort of got me over the hump, I guess, of watching these players who, the longer you have them in your agency and they're on your clubs and they're scoring goals, all of a sudden you have an affinity to these players. You have a connection to them. And so, that was just the big jump. When after you guys,
sorry to interrupt on that, but I think that's really an interesting point, and that's really something we try also to convey, and that is hard to convey actually, because for us we were able to speak, and so that's easier, like a one interaction to explain that, and we can speak, and I can explain that. But that's really what we want to convey, and that I think when people start to understand it, that's really when they see MFL as an interesting game. Like when you just consider them as fake players, etc., it's less immersive than when you really see it as a parallel universe in which you have your players where they live in this virtual universe, kind of. So that's really something that we try to convey. I think that's still something that we can improve, maybe on our landing page, in our onboarding process. But that's really what we try to convey to the new users that arrive on the MFL website.
And I think the move to the photorealistic players just plays such a huge role in that kind of understanding of how the Metaverse Football League works in our life, basically. At what point were you guys building the platform that you thought this could really work?
Good question. But I would say like pretty soonish, I would say, because what was really interesting is that at the very beginning, we didn't have any game, we didn't have anything to really show to our audience, to our OGs, to the very early users, to our early adopters. And despite that, we saw like so much passion for the white paper, the ideas that we were explaining in the white paper, etc. So we saw a lot of people that were really enthusiastic about it, talking a lot in Discord. We started to see a community that was being created, and so that's where we said, like, for the moment, we really have nothing to offer them, like not even a game, like. And despite that, people are interested. People are investing money, like putting money in the game, like by buying packs, etc. So that's when we really started to kind of think that there is an opportunity here, and then there's a lot of stuff that, like, made us like think that there is something here, that we are onto something. Like when we see the emotion, actually, like I really loved, like, I think 2 days ago we saw you were streaming, and you saw you were streaming your promotion match, your playoff matches, and actually just to see the emotion and the passion of people. It's just like when I think when you're creating game, when you're creating something, you need to give emotion to the people. People are fine to. There can be different of motivation, but if you manage to give them emotion, I think that's when it makes your game really interesting. People want to play it, etc. And when we saw your reactions, when we see also like we have a lot of other streamers, Nepenthes, or even smaller content creators that are like posting video on Twitter, on Instagram, etc. That's really when you start to feel that there is something, I think.
I think this is a great comment here from Ranjan that just said the new photorealistic players force people seeing for the first time to ask more questions about MFL or what MFL is than the old images did. Very excited about the change. It's funny. Until the photorealistic images were released, I was not against them, but I really like the current artwork. And I thought to myself, I have this another mental hurdle that I have of seeing pictures of people like AI generated people that aren't real. And it's just like, I'm like, what I'm looking at is not real. And yet the picture is real. And I thought I would have a real problem with this and transitioning from the current artwork to the photorealistic ones. And then during the announcement and in the blog, I saw what they'll look like. And I was immediately like, these are great. Like I'm in, and I don't think it can be understated how different the platform will look in a hugely positive way, both to the people who currently play and those who will eventually join, because there becomes a feeling of realness to it, even though, well, maybe it's the realness that you guys are trying to portray that's going on in the metaverse.
Yeah, definitely. I think and actually, yeah, that's exactly what Ronjo was saying, like in his comment. Like, I think we really think that the first impression that you get with the brand, with MFL is super important, and that's why. So there was two main things. So we did the rebrand plus the photorealistic, and I think that's the two main aspect of the game that you start to see when you join for the first time, when you arrive on the website. And so we had to change our branding to make it more professional, more ambitious, sharper, etc. And also these players, because we really think that there was and actually that's also a comment that I've heard from people that are not playing the game or that didn't want to join. Some of them, like some of the comments were like, they are a bit too cartoonish, looks a bit too childish for me, and there is money involved. So that was not really probably sometimes not really matching with the seriousness of the project. And so I really think that's people that will join and arrive on the website, when they will see these new cards, this photorealistic player, they will say, okay, what is that? I want to learn more, and that's a user that we will probably not lose, or doesn't mean that we will manage to convert it, but at least he will ask more and he will want to know more, and maybe he can be more interested. So yeah, we think also in terms of onboarding, in terms of user acquisition, that can be a positive change.
I don't think we touched on it before of how you guys got to the decision that this needed to happen. Like you were saying, you started the secret project with an intern, but what was the kind of tipping point where you thought we do need to change the artwork in order to be taken a little more seriously?
But I think with the rebrand, when we started the rebranding, it was probably we really started to work on it in January or February, when we really started to do that. Then that's where we saw that it was really changing, like kind of the way the brand looks, etc. And I think that was really like we were thinking that could be the perfect match to release them both, the new branding plus the new photorealistic players. And then also something that helped us a lot is that sometimes you cannot plan everything, and when we recruited Guillaume for as a full stack developer, it happened, and it was something that we liked about his profile, but we didn't recruit him due to that. But he had a lot of experience in creating photorealistic images, because he had done that in a previous project, on some side project, etc. So that also helped us to say, okay, first he was really into this kind of technology. He wanted to do it. Luca also was super involved, etc. So that's really, because there is when there is the interest of doing something, then it helps to really deliver it. And so that's also how it really happened in the end. And and with Guillaume, Guillaume helped us a lot building this this pipeline to build the images, and so that's also made the project move faster.
So one of the announcements, one of the announcements within the blog were kind of, because of the photorealistic images, we can now, or we'll be able to have players in the jerseys of the club and all these other kind of like club branding. Is there a time estimate when we'll be able to do that stuff? I don't think anybody, I will say, I think everybody in the community appreciates how quickly you guys move, but also that stuff like that can take a long time. And so is there any kind of, can you give us a hint of when that might come?
So I think the first step would be to have like a kit maker in the interface where you can play, you can design your kit, you can create it. And at first it will be, you can create your kit, kind of save it, and then it will be displayed on your club page. So that's, I think that's really the first step. The second step is to be able to put these kits like this, the kits that you designed on your players. That's something that will take a bit more time. We still need to figure this out, like what is the priority of that, because it's also a bit more cosmetic in contrary to like the player reel. It has, I think, a direct effect on the user acquisition, onboarding, etc. Here it's a more something like probably less important than this change. So that's so we will really need to think when we can deliver that. But in any case, I think how we see this feature is that it will be something that will be you will have to pay some MFLs to be able to kind of rebuild your kits. You know, like if you were a real club, basically you would probably need to hire a photographer to print the kits, etc. So that's something that we will probably do. It will also create a sink. So in terms of economy, it's something super interesting, that to have like somewhere where the MFL coins can be used, etc. And also for us, it has also a lot of operational cost, because there is to generate the image, to put. So we have already a process that kind of work. We will need to adapt it, but we already in the current process, we give him an input of a kit, and then it change it on the player. So we know that it works. We can do it technically. We will need to adapt the process to automatize it, etc. But then it has a cost also. We need to have like servers always running, etc. That can take a lot of time. So that's also why we cannot just let it open and everybody can change their kits like that. And that's why we have this idea of putting it behind a small fee that user has to spend.
Makes sense. I think one of the I don't even want to call it a struggle, but one of the difficulties you guys have is it feels like everything moves so quickly that you guys update quickly, or if there's ever an issue, it gets fixed really quickly, and you're a small team. And I think a lot of the not a lot of the user base, but I feel like some people may just forget that you're kind of still a small group, and just it's kind of astonishing how quickly you guys are able to develop these things, even though you were just saying the photorealistic project took, a year and a half or so by the time you started it to now you've implemented it and all of the different things that you are going to add. So I just wanted to like just tell, it's like I'm extremely impressed with like how quickly you guys can move for being such a fairly small team with a platform that feels very big now.
Yeah, no, but thanks for that, and it's I really appreciate that, and that's really the way we've been operating since the beginning, trying to really focus on priorities, to move fast. That's why also we have for example, the weekly dev update. That's also sometimes that puts a bit of pressure on the team. Yeah. Also, because you are forced to deliver. You are forced to have something to to say every week, and a week goes fast. So that's not always super easy to do that, but that's also like that's the kind of thing that we wanted from the beginning, to be able to commit on stuff, to explain, to be transparent with the community, and actually I really, when people think like people are super. They always want more. They always want us to go to be faster, and sometimes they, as you said, they forget that we are a small team. And actually, that's I see that as a compliment. I see that because it's super good to be able to see that sometimes people think that we are 20, 50 people working in the background. So yeah, I see that as a compliment in the end.
So the latest update, obviously, like you said, there was the full rebrand, the photorealistic players that we've been talking about. Do you consider the product now kind of ready for the mainstream, or did you already think it was? It feels like the way that you were describing it that particularly with the rebrand, like it looks a lot slicker and new, and it feels like ready for everybody. Whereas when you're building something, you don't necessarily want too many people to join early because you're just not ready yet. And I've seen that with other projects previously, where it feels like they grow too fast in the building stage, and then they never really are able to get to the place where they are ready for everybody. But from what I've seen now, it feels like you guys are ready.
Yeah, I think the product by itself was kind of ready, like after I would say after a few weeks after we went into beta. We went out of beta because we've been working on it for a while in the end, and we really started building the product in late 2021. So that's so we've been preparing it always with the mainstream focus in our mind. That's really something that we have always, even if we are a Web3 project, even if our players, our clubs live on the blockchain as NFT, we still want to be. We always want to be like a game, and to have that anyone can join, and no matter if they are tech savvy or not. So I think the product was probably already just the product, the gameplay, the game mechanics were probably ready since a few months, I would say. Of course, there's still stuff that we can improve, and there will be a lot of people that will tell you that we need this and this, and of course we want to do a lot more. But I think to have a first gameplay, to enjoy, to have fun, we had a good product. I think what we really needed to switch was really the perception, the look and feel of the product, and that's why we released this branding. So this new branding and this photorealistic player. So I think now we are more ready. The only thing that and that's probably a topic that you will want to discuss a bit is how can we have an ecosystem that is even more scalable? And when I speak about scalability is like the tech scalability, etc. I'm not really worried about that. There's always issue that can happen, etc. But that's problems that you can fix, etc. Is more in terms of competitions. How can we onboard the next million of users? We cannot just like add more pyramids, etc. So we already have ideas for that, but it's more like how can we change a bit this to make it more scalable? We have ideas, etc. And that's also some, as we've done since the beginning, we have our vision, but we also want to test it as fast as possible when we and building while like planning and building while doing, kind of. So because I think that's how it works. We sometimes if you start to plan for the next your next million of users, how it will happen, then it just change totally, because that's not something the users want, etc. So that's why we try to not to plan too far, because in the end it's better to put the focus on the next few weeks, next few months, because you really know what will happen. So
or just the next weekly dev update.
Yeah.
So you guys introduced the Flint division last week, the week before, I'm not sure. I think it was last week.
Yeah.
When I joined, Spark had just opened, and in fact, I'm not even sure it had opened. Yes, because my first club was a Spark, but the talk about what was going to happen when Spark filled was the kind of the regional competition idea. I don't remember if that was specifically in the white paper. I did look at the white paper today, though, and notice that Flint isn't added to the pyramid yet. So I wanted to bring that up in the graphic, at least.
Okay, I will tell Luca. He's on it.
But at what point did you guys decide that Flint was going to be the 10th division and have that just be the one that leads up to Spark and upwards, as opposed to going a more regional competition structure below Spark?
So this regional competition, I think it's something that I mentioned in different podcasts and on the Discord also. So that's not that's an idea that we have and something that we think we will implement. I think, to be honest, that's something that we would have liked to at least to maybe have in parallel of to implement after the Spark division, because that's something that we want to test. That's something that we want to have. But actually, Spark division sold out super fast, and we were like super busy with other projects, so we didn't really have time to implement all this regional competition, etc. So that's more something that we see for the future, probably the division after Flint. That doesn't, and so just to re-explain a bit more how we see it, how I see it, it's like probably there would be like the kind of the world competition that would be the current pyramid that you kind of know in where you all belong, which have 10 division, could be 11, could be 12. That's really not a problem, because I think you can add more division. It's not a big problem. But so for the moment it's 10 division, and then to have like different regional or continental league kind of, that would be based on the so the European League, North American League, South American League, etc. There are several advantages to that, because we think at some point like having like the Division 20, Division 24 or something like that can be a bit overwhelming. So then it really creates another competition where you can be first in the top division of something. I think as a user, it's probably better perception, easier to remember, etc. That also create more. You could kind of pick your club location a bit more easily, because it's a continental base. It can be probably easier. And then we could also imagine to have seasons. So that's still something that we will need to figure out, because operationally speaking, it's also something complex. But maybe that could allow us to have seasons that are not all the same calendar, basically. So we could have like a season that starts at the moment we have a season week 1 to week 6. So we could have and everything started in week 1 basically. But we could imagine that we have a regional competition that starts in week 3 or one in week 4, etc. So that would allow anyone that enters MFL to be able to play like in the next couple of days, which is actually, we think, is a blocker for a new user. It's like if you join at week 3 or 4, etc., you still need to wait a bit of time to be able to really start playing. So that's the advantage that we see with this regional competition.
Yeah, I've seen a few people bring that up, that if you join, mid-season, you don't necessarily, or it's too far away from the Redemption Cup, then you can't just play right away. So that's a great idea. Did you guys have a projection of when Spark would fill when you opened Spark?
If we had a projection of when
you opened Spark, did you say, okay, we'll have to figure out the next one in a year, or did you have an idea of how quickly Spark would fill?
No, I think we didn't expect it to feel so quick. We didn't really have a a plan for when it will feel. We were thinking that we had a lot of time, to be honest, because if we looked at the ice division, actually, I think the division that took most time to sell out was the stone division. I think division 7. Then ice was pretty quick, and I think Spark probably took almost the same time as ice. I would say probably something like that, despite being twice as big. So no, we didn't have a perfect, like a really time frame in mind. And same for Flint. Actually, we don't have really a time frame. I think it will leave us. Of course, August will be fine, because most of there will be some holidays for the team. So I hope it won't feel that quickly, which will be a good problem to have in any case. But no, I think we have still a few months, and so that's where we will be able to really start working on this regional division. I think starting from September, that's something that we need to define a bit more and to start working on that, because there are also some changes in terms of tech, operationally speaking, the back end in our admin system also. So that seems maybe just like we duplicate a model, but in the end, it's a bit more complex.
Yeah, I think I was trying to look up here. I think I got my New York license at the beginning of December, and that was one of the first Spark license. I mean, it was early on in Spark, and so yeah, selling out in about 6 months.
Yeah,
of 3,000 and change clubs is
that's the Laird effect. In April we had the Laird effect.
I certainly will not take credit or blame for it, but did you expect so many people to have so many people to have multiple clubs, or did you guys always view this as you have your club and you go with that one club?
We have different way of seeing it. I think internally in the team. For me, I'm more. I think that people will manage multiple clubs, like 2, 3, and there will be always extremes. Like at the moment, I think we have like some people that have 50 clubs, or one guy that has 50 clubs. Maybe trust the process. Maybe he has even more now, but. Yeah, I think in my vision, I think it's manageable to keep to manage 2, 3, 4 clubs, etc. After that, I think you need a bit more training or preparation, or a system to handle it. But we think also it's and for example with Luca, we discussed that a lot, and Luca sometimes is a bit more toward it should be only one club or something like that. But I think in the end, it really depends on the individual, what they want, how they see it. If you want to really spend a lot of time on one club, I think it's possible, and that's what we like with MFL, is that you can go very, very deep into the analyzing the engine, analyzing your own team, analyzing each opponent, planning your rotation, because of the fatigue, but also which opponents you're going to play, taking it into account the progression, how many matches they need to play based on the contract and the minimum appearance, etc. So there's a lot. You can go really, really deep in planning all that. So, but you can also spend 5 minutes creating your lineup if you don't have a lot of time. So that's really something that we want to keep like that, so that you can kind of choose the level of involvement that you want to put in your club and in the game.
So now that it's it's not even 24 hours since the big announcement, but it's all old news now. And so what's coming next for you guys, at least in terms of what do you think are the parts of the platform that you need to focus more resources on for whatever you want to accomplish next?
So I think so in the announcements we mentioned the bonding and the photorealistic players. there are some different like other stuff that we mentioned that are not ready yet, but that we are preparing and that we want to release in the next few months, I would say. The thing is the kit maker. I think that's something pretty nice, something that has been asked and requested by a lot of users. There's really people that like to customize their club, etc. So that's something that we want to release. Another big stuff that will take quite a lot of time is to have a redesign or like a revamp of the full website. I think we've been working on it since a few months also, like working with a designer to create some mock-ups, how the UX UI should work, etc. So we have probably I don't know, maybe 90% or 85% of the website with some mock-ups, and that's something that we want to release at some point. We have all the coding part that needs to be done, and we think it's going to be also a very good change because we want the interface to feel even more intuitive. We think it's pretty good at the moment. But with time, we've been adding features over features on top of each other. So sometimes it's not as smooth or as well thought as it could be. So I think that's why we want to do that, to have also the look of the UI to be nicer. So that's something that we will focus on the next few months. In terms of gameplay, also, that's something that we want to keep improving the gameplay. We've been working on the substitute and the tactical change. At first, we were considering should we do live changes, live tactical changes or something like that. For the moment, we're not going that direction. We think it has some advantages, but also when we started to talk with the community, that's probably not something that is really wanted in the community, the user, etc. I think we also like the fact that it's a game that you can play in a asynchronous mode, kind of, that you can play whenever you want, basically. So we will go with substitute or tactical change that you can kind of predetermine before your match. If this happened, then do that, or this kind of conditions. So we think that's going to be a nice addition to the gameplay. And then probably at some point, in terms of gameplay, also adding the injuries. I think that's something that would be nice, because it adds also a bit more unpredictability to your rotation, a bit more decision making. So yeah, that's probably the main I would say in the next few months project that we have. But I'm thinking of the kind of roadmap that we have, where we list all the stuff that we want to do, and there's so much more. We want also to be able to have offers on the club, to be able to list packs on our marketplace. At the moment, you need to go on Floaty. We want to really make sure that everything can be done on MFL, offers on the packs, etc. So yeah, there's a lot of topics, but that's basically what's next.
Not to get too technical on it, but is that stuff that you the being able to move the marketplace or pack marketplace to MFL? Is that things you have to work on with Flow, or is it kind of is it a Dapper thing? Or Dapper?
Yeah, it's more actually. So Flow is a permissionless blockchain. So basically, anyone can create a smart contract and deploy it. So we don't need any permission to ask Flow, etc. But what we need to do is to work with Dapper to validate the Dapper transaction, because the Dapper is a custodial wallet, and so you need to we need to have their approval for each transaction that when we want to create a new type of transaction, for example, buying a pack on with the Dapper wallet, then we need their approval. Usually it can be pretty fast. It's just that sometimes when the validation can be fast, but when there are some issues, then you need to go back and forth, and so that takes time. They have their priority, we have ours, etc. So that's also sometimes what can take time. It took a bit of time with the the offers when we launched the offers, but normally it's it's something really not too complex to do, and that especially as we have already the club, the players listed on the marketplace, having the packs there shouldn't be too complex. Then it's also how you display them. We also want to, at the moment there are informations that are not available that we want to be able to put on our website, for example, when the pack has been released, etc., so that if the players have aged or not, because we don't want people to take advantage and list something on the marketplace when it's a pack that players have aged for a lot of time. So we want to put more information on that.
No, I think that would be a great quality of life improvement, certainly for users not having to go to a third party to. I was doing it today. I've never sold anything on Floaty, and I have my reward packs, and it's like, oh, if I wanted to sell them, how would I even do it? And having to leave MFL to do it. I mean, it's not like a pain point, but it would be better if I could just do it on MFL, which you guys obviously appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think in terms of for new users, there are. I think sometimes the experience when you arrive, you can buy your 3 starter pack, and then you need to go on the marketplace, which is cool. But some people, they also would like to be able to buy more packs, and so in the end they would be able, because there would be some other users that sell them, and so that would be for us kind of an opportunity to still giving the option for new users to buy more packs without adding supply, which is pretty cool. So I think in terms of user acquisition, it can be also an user experience, new user experience. It can be very good. And also we like the fact that you can kind of sell your reward pack, which are kind of a way to kind of shorten a bit the reward loop. At the moment, you have to get your pack, open your pack, find the pricing on what is the value of your player, list it, waiting for somebody to buy it. Here, if you can directly sell your, that's what people do on Floaty actually. But if you can sell it directly on MFL, and there will be, of course, more liquidity because more people are on our website than on Floaty. So that can be something also interesting for as a user that has a club and that gets a reward. You can kind of, it's a way to convert more easily your MFL coin into cash.
Yeah, I think, like you said, from the liquidity standpoint, it would be great for users, because there are plenty of people who join and have no idea that Floaty even exists, and then giving them the opportunity to buy reward packs or packs after drops that they don't have to go somewhere else to, I think is great.
Yeah, and also that allows us to have more control on the packs. So, for example, an idea that we have, because we don't really want to encourage people to join the drop, buy the pack, and sell it, because it's to flip for a quick bucks. I don't think it brings a lot of value to the ecosystem, etc. And I think when we have everything on our website, it allows us to have more granularity, more control on the packs, and so we could imagine to have a different marketplace fees for the reward pack or for the drop packs. So, for example, I'm just not sure about the numbers, but let's take an example. We have on the drop packs, we put 20 or 25% marketplace transaction, so you can still resell them, but you will get less, so that discourage a bit people to flip. But on the reward pack, we can just apply our normal 5% commission or something like that. So that's also ideas that we have more control when everything is on site.
I think for the people who can't always make the pack drops, they just love to hear that, because it feels like, if they're stuck having to get them through Floaty, you don't feel great if you have to spend so much more money than everyone else did at the drop. You were saying that you had you have your list of projects you're working on or things that you're trying to improve. Can you think of like something that you guys hadn't thought of that somebody from the community suggested to you guys, and you were all like, "Oh, that is a good idea"?
I remember I remember there was something this weekend, but now I can't remember what it was. So I don't know if that will come to me, but no. Usually, what first we receive a lot of ideas from the community. So I think at some point, and we've been working on the project for so long in the end that at some point everything has merged. So it's hard to really know if that comes from the community, if that comes from us. There's obviously because we've really put a lot of thought creating the white paper, etc. So there's a lot of ideas that when they are brought, we already had them, but now everything has merged, so it's hard to really know. Yeah, for example, one thing I remember we just did it today is that, for example, that's what the user told us, that when you are at the moment when there are the promotion and relegation, there are like some clubs that have a second chance, so they are not really relegated. And so at the moment we were not communicating at all on this. We were just putting a message on Discord, and so that some user told us this weekend that's something that they were a bit they didn't know why they were not relegated, etc. So for example, today we sent an inbox message to inform them. So that's not always big ideas, but sometimes it's just small improvements. Also, there is a lot of suggestions on the suggestion channel, improvement suggestion channel in Discord, that are sometimes like very small adjustment that we don't even think about, because we are not using the product every day. But sometimes I think especially we have our champion that is Palmer, probably raising a lot of requests or improvement, and that's the kind of thing. So I don't have something that comes on top of my mind, but that's a lot of quality of life improvement that are suggested by the user base, and that by the community, and that are implemented then by Jan. Jan likes to have this moment where he's working on a big project, but also like taking some time to just like do some quick wins that will improve the product. So yeah.
So have you guys thought about kind of changing it so that each of you can play somewhere and have a club and an agency?
Yeah, I think, but that's a decision that we took from day one, not to be able to play, because I think there's that's a way to how to say that. It's like if we start doing that, I think that's the best way to start dramas that are not needed.
Sure.
If we happen to have like one of our club that goes to the playoff, and our team is the underdog, and magically our team wins, which can happen because like there's randomness, then what will be the perception by the other user, etc. So I don't think that's really something that we want. We also have like of course a lot more knowledge than any user. We know what we're going to do. We know what the supply that we are going to announce, etc. So we don't really want to go that road, and I think I don't see it as a big issue, because to compensate that, we try to be, and I think we are super close to the community, like reading the Discord channel, doing calls with users, etc. And so I think that allows us to compensate the fact that we are not playing like real users in the end.
Yeah, I don't think that there's been. In fact, I know there hasn't been like a single thing that you guys either implemented or added that made me think they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand their users. Like, I think you guys have a very good grasp, and a lot of that is because the users are very willing to provide feedback. I'll put it that way, and it's really like comforting almost that you guys are so receptive to that feedback, because not only do you acknowledge kind of if there's a frustration point, generally it's not, but you guys will acknowledge it and either work to address it or explain why whatever it is wasn't implemented. And so the feedback that we get from you is really important, just as the community, because it allow, it's nice to feel like you've been heard and that you guys understand whatever the
very
minute issue is that we are all up in arms about.
No, but that's definitely how we like it to be, actually, and that's why we like to have this Discord and other touch points where actually we're also getting a lot of sometimes it's not directly ideas, but it's pain points that are raised by users when they reach out to us on our live chat, and so that allows us also to spot pain points and how we can improve them. And so really, it's like Jan, all the team has really this mindset of how can we improve that. Sometimes it's even like a bit too much, I think. In my perception, it can be a bit too much, because we tried a lot to go into the same the way the user wants. So sometimes it's also means that we spent a bit more time on some stuff that could be maybe not the best priorities, but you have the disadvantage of your quality, or the how do you, I don't know this expression, but you get sometimes that's also normal. Like, I think it's very good to be able to be super close to the community, implement a lot of feedback. Sometimes a bit too much, but that's fine in the end.
Yeah, well, it's just a tough balance between creating the game that you guys think is the best one out there and the users wanting to play that game. And so you kind of have to deliver a product that people want to play, and they want to be able to play your game as best they can. And I think you guys so far are absolutely nailing it. It's the positivity of the community, not just in the helping other people get started and whatnot, but the general love for the platform. It just feels like it's throughout the entire community. And so it's...
Yeah, we are super lucky with the community, to be honest. I don't know why, I don't know how. It's just that the community is just incredibly positive, incredibly nice to each other, incredibly helping each other. So that's just for us. It's just awesome. Actually, it's help us also like to better execute. And sometimes that also happens to us when we have a question on Crisp. That is on Crisp is our chat box. Sometimes we say probably it's a question that it's better to ask this question on Discord, because it can be, for example, if it's a question related to, I have this player, what's his valuation, or what percentage should I get for this player as a contract? That's not the kind of the type of question we really want to answer first, because of the time, and then we don't have also the same knowledge, and then it's really depending on your judgment, etc. So we don't want to provide info on that. So that's also like sometimes we redirect them to the Discord, and as to the Discord, you will probably have somebody that will give you some indication and help you. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I think part of it is just because you guys have been so receptive to the community that everybody feels comfortable saying what they believe and what they think, and generally it's positive. And when they hear other positive, people speaking positively about it, they can appreciate all of the good stuff that's going on. So I think it's a testament to how you guys have built the platform. And I know that the people that you have trusted to not speak for you, but even in the Discord, the different captains that you guys selected to like help other users out, it just builds from that. And so the positivity is just a nice community to be in. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely.
I've taken up a lot of your time, and as we were talking about how much you guys have done and have to do, so I really appreciate you coming on. I think I was speaking to somebody earlier today about how important it is for the community to hear from you guys directly, and we do see it in Discord a lot, but it's nice to kind of see you here as somebody who was unable to do so in Paris. So I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you to everybody for joining, and just like keep up the great work, because you guys have created something really special that that thousands of people all over the world enjoy every single day. And just that doesn't happen that often. So congratulations on everything you've done. And good luck on whatever's next.
No, but thank you, Laird. Really, I was super happy to join the stream and yeah, to be able to do something live. Also, it's really something that we're doing a lot in the. Of course, we had the meetup where people could see us live, but I think we also answer a lot on Discord, etc. And that's really something that I want also personally to do a bit more, like being able to go on live, to that the community is able to see that's also like we are real people, kind of, when you're just behind the screen or behind the keyboard, it's a bit different. So yeah, really appreciate it for you to be able to have me on the stream, and yeah, that's great.
Cool. Well, thank you everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny. The Pack Drop stream is tomorrow, talking about like community things. Pack Drop is tomorrow, the stream, an hour before the drop starts. So Jimbo, who I think was in chat, he probably left at some point, but that is going on. And then, yeah, we're just excited to see what happens next. So yeah, everyone, thank you for coming. Enjoy MFL, but also don't forget to go outside.